What's up, court reporters? Welcome back to my channel. Sorry I'm a bit late on this video. I was at the movies yesterday when the news broke. Like, it was like late at night here. I was watching The Three Musketeers. And then this morning I was so tired. I have this dog. If you guys watch my Vanderpump Rules videos, you know I have this dog that I've been watching. Her name is Tava. She's absolutely adorable. I walk her like 2 hours a day, and she's been wearing me out too. So let's get into the story of Ryan Edwards, okay? Now, this man truly has like 9 lives in the penal system, because despite pleading guilty to the harassment charges, despite the millionth DUI, the millionth possession charge, this man was only sentenced to like a year in prison. And not even that, it was 11 months and 29 days. He probably, well, I can't even say he probably will get less for good behavior, because let's face it, that man is not behaving well anywhere. I don't understand this. And I tried to skim this article before filming this video, but it's still not clicking to me how someone could have so many charges against them, and then the judge can call them an extreme danger after the shocking, horrifying condition he left his marital home in for his children, and then only give him like 11 months. You know, it doesn't make sense to me, right? I know we keep talking about the corrupt system over there and how the judge is friends with the Edwards family, and Ryan Edwards is friends with like the judge's children and stuff. But it's really shocking, you know, for this person to go on the record and call Ryan Edwards an extreme danger, only to sentence him to a puny 11 months, to me is ridiculous. But maybe if reading this for the second time with you guys, I will find some reasoning in all of this. Here's hoping, right? So the Sun is the outlet that broke the story. Here Ryan was in court. I do have to say, for someone who has been abusing drugs for a very long time, many years now, he looked actually halfway decent here. But I digress. So let's get into the meat and the potatoes. So he was sentenced to 11 months and 29 days. There he is walking into the courtroom. Apparently he was fidgeting throughout the hearing, wasn't really talking and whatnot, and unless spoken to, which is par for the course. That's how you behave yourself over there. So apparently he was called up and spoke to the judge regarding the 2 new possession of a controlled substance and DUI charges. So those are new charges on top of charges that he already had, and then previous 2 harassment charges and controlled substance charges. All of this, and he only got sentenced to 11 months and 29 days. It doesn't make sense to me. It's really shocking. I feel like someone needs to step in at this point and recuse, or the judge should recuse himself if he's not able to help this kid properly, because this is just not it at all. So his attorney was saying that Ryan admitted to violating his probation. The prosecutor on the case said that it appeared that Ryan would have violated probation by leaving treatment early. Ryan picked up 2 new criminal charges by leaving treatment early. Remember, that is when he got like high while he was driving, and then he hit a curb or something like that, and then he was found behind the wheel, passed out. It turned out that he had OD'd. So for the court, given the part of the probation violation is these new charges, he is conceding the violation. Then the judge said that Ryan was supposed to be in Austin, Texas. He was admitted March 16th and discharged April 3rd. So not even a month after, he already like bounced on that place. The officer who had arrested him released a statement saying, "I was dispatched for a white male in a white pickup truck who was unconscious and unresponsive. The vehicle was running in drive. The truck rolled into a curb on the driver's side. The curb stopped the vehicle. It was just Mr. Edwards. He was unconscious, unresponsive." Honestly, that's really shocking. Fire was there. They were using a lockout kit to gain entry to the vehicle. He did not regain consciousness until he was put in medical and administered Narcan. So he almost lost his life that day, you guys, leaving rehab early. There were 2 small baggies on Mr. Edwards, a white blue powder and a crystal substance. A lawyer for the state then said, "This court is used to seeing probation violations. This defendant, Ryan Edwards, received a lenient break," and lenient is the understatement of the century, right? "From this court and my office in March. He was given the opportunity for the 2nd or 3rd time to pursue rehabilitation." It's more like the 3rd or 4th time. This is definitely not like an early days rodeo. This has been going on for years at this point. Like, he missed the birth of his son, or was it his daughter? I think it was his son, because he was off to rehab and he didn't even complete that entire rehab stint. He's always leaving early. The judge continued on to say, Ryan Edwards has a drug problem. He had an opportunity to pursue rehabilitation. He failed to do that. He was there for 2 weeks. He left the facility, contradictory to the staff's advisement. The staff was trying to keep him there. He was ordered to be there for 45 days. He somehow got back to Chattanooga, then a block from this courthouse. Wow. While so under the influence in his vehicle, he ran into a curb. He could have hit people. He's a danger to himself and the public. And here's the thing that I don't like about this statement. Like, he's also here on the harassment charges. And we saw the condition that he left that house in. And there's no mention on him being a danger to like his family, his kids, and his estranged wife. I think that that should have been brought up and highlighted. But again, this appears to be a biased courtroom. So, of course, that was not going to be mentioned, right? His option is to get clean or croak. There will be a request for more rehabilitation. The opportunity he had, he squandered. That is disrespectful to the court and makes a mockery. She recommended 11 months and 29 days in prison. Again, all of this he's got going on, and all you can give him is 11 months. There are people who have done a lot less and have been sentenced to decades behind bars. So the fact that this repeat offender, who is admittedly a danger to himself and to the public, can get away with this, to me, less than a year of sentencing is sickening. So anyway, Ryan's lawyer took the stand and said that he is addicted to drugs. We all know there's a good person deep inside. Okay, before he was doing drugs, he already showed that he was not a great person, because he was a grown-ass man chasing high school little girl tail, right? He got a high schooler pregnant while he was in his 20s. So no. And then he couldn't even take responsibility for that child. He had this underage girl raising the child by herself practically, because he couldn't be bothered to really step up. So give me a break. I know you're being paid by the state. I don't think that Ryan hired the lawyer himself. All his money goes to drugs, allegedly. But come on now. That person is hammered down because of the drugs. It's an excuse. I'm sorry. Some people are just not good people in general, and then they so happen to get into drugs as well, right? I don't think that behind every, addict is somehow wonderful person. Because listen, there are a lot of people who are not addicts and they're still not good people. So we all want the best for him and the community. We ask at some point, not today, after Mr. Edwards receives sufficient time to be punished and think about what he's done, to consider an alternative. We're all disappointed. It's a small town. We all know each other. We all know him. We want him to do better. There's a unique treatment option. I'm not asking the court to suspend his sentence. All right. Well, last time he did have a suspended sentence, remember, when he was breaking that probation situation. So the director of court services was then called up and recommended that Ryan got monthly shots to curb his addiction and a 2-year treatment program. And so the women said that Ryan should go into a residential program, and at some point he would get a once-a-month shot. It curbs cravings coupled with treatment. Just a shot isn't going to do it. He says he will do that. We would go in and stay at our facility, then step down to a halfway house, a separate living house. They do counseling for 2 years. I think that's fair. At this point, listen, how many times has this man been to rehab? I'm telling you, it's at least 4 times, because I heard from Shelby, like one of his ex-girlfriends back in the day, that or it was Dallas, or as Bentley would call her, Dawes, which is the cutest thing, by the way. I think it was Dawes who had spilled the tea that Ryan was already in rehab back in the day when he was dating her. And he was dating her in the early days of Teen Mom, when no one in a million years would have suspected that he was an addict, right? So that's the first time that we've heard of him leaving early 2 other times. So this is the 3rd stint. Rehab alone does not help this man. And, I get it, right? When you're deep in addiction, it's really difficult. Like you're already like 99% out the door. So the shots sound like a good idea. I've never heard of them, but it sounds like a good idea, right? If that's going to interact with your body chemistry, because I think that's what a lot of addiction is, right? Sometimes your chemistry is just built for you to have an addictive personality, unfortunately. Okay, so the judge at this point says, we all know Mr. Edwards and his family. He's a very fine young man. Let me sip my water. Let me sip my water. Talk about he's a fine young man. He's very talented at what he does. Crack. Because it's not parenting. It's not being a non-abusive partner in a relationship. So I'm not sure what this judge is talking about. But then again, like I said, this judge has been friends with the Edwards family for decades, so full of shit. We've all watched him grow up. He's not a bad person. Look at that slip. He's not a bad person. He just got addicted to hardcore drugs. And again, it's not drugs that make you a bad person. It's a bad person that makes you a bad person. And in my opinion, he's a fundamentally bad person. I don't think the drugs can be blamed for what he did in that house. You guys saw the way he tore it. He tore it up. The graffiti all over the walls, the way everything was pulled out and destroyed. I'm sorry, that can't be blamed on drugs. No, that's just a bad person wanting to torture a woman who wants to leave him and to torture his own children. He's an extreme danger to himself. He died on Broad Street and had to be brought back to life. You should realize that. He's a danger to the public by driving his truck on drugs. Well, why don't you guys go ahead and suspend that license then for a little bit? Rehab won't be good because he won't do it. He needs to grow up. You know that. You have 3 kids. You may have some problems with your wife, but you have 3 kids. I'm trying to save your life. I'm sorry, Judge, but you are not saving this man's life with all of this lenient sentencing, okay? If anything, you're putting him further and further in danger. He was able to croak in broad daylight in his truck because you didn't put him in jail, right? Instead of being in jail where he could like be forced to detox, he was out on yet again another very like slap on the wrist sort of situation. So he can go ahead and terrorize those kids you're talking about, the wife you're talking about, and the public you're saying he's a danger to, okay? Anyway, the judge continued on to say, I'm going to revoke probation for 11 months and 29 days in custody. At some point, I may send you to rehab. You won't do it now. It's because the drug addiction is so strong. You can't do it. You have to grow up and want to save yourself. I'm going to do what I can to save you. If you come across someone at drugs at Silverdale, stay away from them. So anyway, he's due back in court June 12th, and his parents were there in the hearing and everything like that. And another thing that's actually been making the rounds is that when his estranged wife, Mackenzie Standifer, came into the courtroom, the parents like kind of freaked out and like left and everything because she has stonewalled them. She's no longer like dealing with their enabling nature and whatnot. And so they're upset about it. God, they are so toxic, you know, absolutely toxic as parents. Again, but here's the thing. It's not just the parents that are toxic. It's the judge that's toxic as well, letting this man continue to get off practically scot-free for all the things that he does. You know, the fact that Mackenzie is there in the courtroom, watching this man be coddled per usual as he's been coddled his entire life. And look how well that turned out for him, right? He did all that stuff to their home, to her, to their kids. And all he gets is 11 months. He's in extreme danger, but all we can give him is 11 months. Please. This is disgusting. This is an insult. This is a shame at the end of the day. But again, I'm not surprised because like I've been saying since the very beginning of this Ryan arrest saga years ago, something in the buttermilk is not clean in regards to his connection with that judge. I don't think that judge should be presiding over Ryan Edwards any further. But let me not get in trouble by continuing to speak on that, okay? You guys, how do you feel about Ryan being sentenced to only 11 months and 29 days in prison when he has multiple harassment charges, multiple DUI charges, multiple possession charges, multiple probation violations? Is that really fair? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.